Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, I take a trip down nostalgia lane from when I first started my audio career. What do I mean when I say I want to take a trip down nostalgia lane? Is when I first started my career, just after exiting school, I went to work with David Bendeth. David Bendeth is known for working with artists like Breaking Benjamin, Of Mice and Men, and Paramore, and countless others. He's been working with our friends over at Believe Studios to take some of the records that he's worked on through his career and how he layers his reverbs into one plugin. Let's check it out. This is DB Verb. Let's dive into the DAW. And here it is. This is DB Verb. We're going to go over all the controls, but if you want to jump ahead to the audio examples, use the chapters down below. So let's get into what this is. Now, this is 4 reverb engines inside of one plugin. That's why you have these 4 different what look like channel strips, because Dave and Rick from Make Believe have worked on SSL style consoles, and when I worked with David, this looks like our SSL. So anyway, you have 4 different reverb engines. You have A, B, C, and D, small, medium, large, and extra. Then you have even more, because it's not just these and that's what you get. Inside each different reverb engine are 3 different settings with this button right here. So you have red, yellow, and green. And these are all from the same unit, but different recall settings from old records that Dave has worked on. And a lot of them are records that you are still listening to or that are still relevant today. So everything that's in small, this is from one reverb from him, but it's a couple different settings. Everything in medium, different reverb, different settings. And the glorious thing about this plugin is being able to layer them and blend them. This is what Dave has done. This is now what Rick has started doing. And thanks to this plugin, all of us can start doing it too. We're making it easier within one plugin. Above all the labels, you have a solo and cut function, and it does exactly like you think. It either cuts or mutes that engine, that's why there's 4 of them, or it solos that engine. So like right now, I'm soloing the medium engine. Underneath that is actually a decay length adjustment. And so what this actually was doing is it's reducing the decay time based on the settings that Dave had from whatever record they pulled the recall from. So on the red setting, its maximum decay is at 9. But if I need something shorter in my production, I can bring this down to wherever I need it, and it'll shorten that decay. Same holds true for the rest of the engines. The length is just a reduction of the total length the recall had. Now let's go to the right-hand side where we can see underneath DB Verb is pre-delay. In its default state, it's sitting right here and it says 0. What this is doing is the pre-delay of the recall sheet. So some of these will have some pre-delay and some of these will not. But if you want to just remove that pre-delay in your session, bring this down to -30, and now you can dial in the pre-delay to whatever you need. But if you want to lock into the recall settings, you can put this right back to 0, and you're at those settings, or you can even make it longer for whatever you need. Underneath that, you have a high-frequency gain control. This is literally just a top-end EQ, so you can add in or reduce some of the shimmer that is coming through these reverbs. We'll get into that in a bit. And then underneath that is actually a frequency selector. Pre-selected frequencies, A, B, and C, but you can adjust essentially where the high frequency gain starts to affect signal. Underneath that, high pass filter, pretty straightforward, knock off your lows. And then of course underneath that is your dry, wet blend control, parallel processing built right in. You want to throw this on the channel like I have done for this example? Cool, you can blend in the amount of reverb you need here. You want it on a aux send and just throw things to this, just put this to wet, you'll be good to go. We didn't go over the very top preset browser, A side, B side, cycle through your presets, blends the differences between A and B together. That's what the blend control is. Undo, redo, change the size of the GUI, etc., etc. Pretty standard things all the way up on top. That's all of the controls. Now let's get into how this thing sounds. Originally, this was built as a drum reverb, but do not feel like it is only for drums. That is what we're going to use it on in our examples today. Starting off, this is where our snare drum is, and we are listening to just the snare right now. pretty straightforward snare. I have some processing going on beforehand, like a gate and a little bit of EQ and compression and some clipping, but it's really not doing a ton. Now, let's take this off of bypass and just one hit in its default state. This is how it sounds. Already not bad, but like I said, we have 4 different reverb engines. We have 3 different settings per. Let's really dial something in. We're going to do this kind of quick. So I'm going to give you 1 or 2 hits of the snare through the different settings so you can hear some of them. But really, the bread and butter of this plugin is just having the one and blending these together. So let's go through some of the sounds, and then we'll dial something in. So you can hear a lot of different sounds going on, and I just want to bring this back to the factory defaults. Okay, I reset back to a brand new iteration because we're going to dial something in right now. Right now, I'm just going to leave everything on the red settings, and I'm going to bring all of my drums in so we can hear this as a whole, because we want to create this depth with whatever is currently going on, because we do have room mics. Here's our drums, and we're going to dial in some reverb for this snare right now. So very quickly, we have lots of depth now. The snare is much fatter. With medium and the pre-delay, it's almost flamming, making the snare fatter. And then the non-lin sort of sound that we're getting inside medium, because these settings in here sound non-lin to me, they're fattening up the drum for a short amount of time. So not only is it offsetting it, but the non-lin is just like fattening this up. Let's do just this. Let's solo the snare again in the mix of the drums with just medium. Listen to the flamming and how fat it makes the snare. So really tight, really fat, a nice extra layer to add some length to that drum. But in conjunction with everything else, we have body, we have depth, we have distance, we have room, we've got reverb, and we've got layered reverbs. I had a funny conversation with Rick Carson from Believe Studios talking about my old handwriting, because I wrote the recall sheets for some of the sessions that this plugin was based on. So we had a really funny conversation going over some of the things that we did back in the day. I'm happy to say that DB Verb is available right now. So if you want to pick up a copy for yourself, use a link down in the description. That's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video, because there's also another one coming very soon talking about another great reverb. So if you're not already, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell and all the other stuff the guys say in the YouTube videos. I guess that's me, I'm saying it now. But in the meantime, have fun, happy mixing, and I'll see you next time.